and welcome everybody to this very special recording podcast, whatever we're calling this. I am your host, Marco Flores from Nerd in the Bay. I believe we were talking about how this is a special Suikoden cast, talking about the very special Japanese RPG game that we all love called Suikoden. I'm with Luca Blight, one of the nicest Blights that are out there, not comparing to the one in Suikoden 2. Luca, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good, good. I'm doing good, doing good. So yeah, tell us all about your channel. Like, why'd you pick Luca Blight as the channel name, and what do you do on your channel?
So my channel is just mostly gaming, right? You got lots of like JRPGs, and you got a lot of like mobile games and whatnot. Of course, we have Suikoden. It's my bread and butter. Luca Blight has always been my favorite character in any RPG ever, so it only like was fitting to me.
Yeah, yeah.
As for the nicest Blight, thank you for the comment or the compliment. I think that has to do with me being Canadian. I can't really help it. It's in our blood.
Maybe some Blights went up north, and I maybe settled down. I don't know how like the entire Blight family is only just Luca Blight that is only the one that's psychotic, and then everybody else was.
Hey, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm related to Julia, and she's like super nice, and
That's true. Yeah, right. That's true. That's true. So, like I said, this is basically a special like Suikoden cast where we're just going to be talking about this game in particular. Luca Blight over here just brought up the idea. I was like, hey, you want to do like a live stream and just talk about this game? I was like, oh yes, that's a great idea. I just want to talk about this my most favorite Japanese role playing game of all time, basically, and just get into like how we found the game, how we like just found our love for this game, like whatever can come up. We do have some show notes, but it maybe it's probably going to be more off the cuff at the same time. So who knows? So like Luca, let us know how you like come to find like Suikoden. Luca?
Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I should have paused that for a second. Something else started playing. My bad.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so what were you saying? My bad, man.
Oh, so I was saying, Luca, how did you come across Suikoden, and in the younger days when they first came out? How did you come across this game?
Well, one of my older brothers introduced it to me because even as a young kid, I was really into JRPGs, and I had conquered all the Final Fantasies up to that point. Like I just ran through them. Even as like an 8-year-old kid, I was beating Final Fantasy VI like nothing. Like so, the Breath of Fire games, I ran through them. So he was he's like, all right, you want a different type of challenge? He's like, try recruiting 108 characters while going through an entire thing here. And of course, he got a good laugh because I failed Leon Silverberg and that pain in the ass way to recruit him.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, I got 106 because that sucked. But and of course he decided not to tell me that you don't get all the perks when you load into Suikoden 2 if you don't get 108. So he made me find out the hard way of everything that I was missing. Because older brothers are like that, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, siblings will try to like troll you in a sense.
Oh, absolutely. But it backfired because I got to enjoy it even more when I got all 108 and went through the game again.
That's awesome. Cool. So like what was about Suikoden for you that just this is the game, this is your favorite RPG of all time? Like what made it like stand out for you compared to all the other games that you played that are Japanese role playing games? Like you mentioned Final Fantasy, like you mentioned
the main thing that stuck out was the continuation of the story. Right?
Yeah.
It didn't really happen very often. With Final Fantasy, it was a new game every time, with the exception of a few that had some additions here and there. This had a great ongoing story from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 5, and so on. And also the massive amount of diverse and interesting characters and the great gameplay. The gameplay is so unique when it came to 6-man parties that were able to attack all at the same time, the joint attacks, the joint magic attacks, and then the army battles. And then the fact that you can lose a character at any point and they're just dead.
Exactly. Yeah, that threw me off when I first played, like my very first playthrough of that game. Just playing the game, like, oh yeah, this is so cool. I like how the premise is. It kind of has that little bit of a martial arts feel because the main character does know a little bit of martial arts. And then when you're going through the army battles and like you pick a bad decision, and then one of your characters dies, like what? You can't use them again.
Yeah.
Threw me off. Like, oh no, like I'm really if that's ever an option in the game, like I'm always like, oh no, I'm gonna reset from the last save. I'm not trying to keep this character alive because I want to see like if there's anything special if say you keep all your characters alive. But like Suikoden kind of was, at least as far as I remember, one of those very first games that kind of introduced like permadeath in terms of a Japanese playing game, right?
It definitely was.
Yeah.
Other than like story mode from like Final Fantasy VII or something where a character permanently dies.
Yeah.
This was like they could die off at any point, which was it, you know, added tension to it. Also decisions that you made. Like if you didn't forgive Pan, he was gone.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
exactly.
If you didn't forgive Pan, oh my god, you just lost the best physical attacker in the game.
Yeah, it disappears. Yeah, exactly.
Just for clicking the wrong decision.
Yeah, or if you didn't level him up after you have him join.
Oh, when he fights Tio.
Well, yeah, when he fights Tio, and then he was gone there as well.
I'll tell you a rage moment. Oh man,
Sure.
First time I ever played, I didn't really use Pan.
Oh yeah,
I was into sword users and everything like that, so I didn't really level him up. And we came up against Tio, and I swear I was like level like I don't know 15, and it was terrible. So I had to like go back like 3 save spots and redo it all over again just because I didn't want to lose him.
Yeah, no, like as soon as you have him join, you have to like keep him in the party for the next next set of like arcs, like you know with the elves and all that stuff, just to have much more level. Otherwise, when you run into Tio, then like you know if you didn't save before that, then
you were screwed.
That is screwed. So yeah,
and it's so tempting not to use them because they give you Victor and they give you Valera, right?
Yeah,
and just all these awesome front row characters, and you're just like, do I really need them? And then of course you do.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is what the appeal, like one of the appeals for me was, you know, any other role playing game, there's like, you know, set number of characters, you know, 6, 7, 8. In this one, they introduced 108 characters. Like, sure, they use the same sprites for a lot of them, like you know, kind of like Echo Fighters, if you're thinking of brothers, but everybody had like that different source of like personality when you get into their backstory of like who they are. Like Pan, even though has the same like animations as Morgan, you know, they both had different like backstories. Like Pan, just or Pon, whatever you want to how you want to pronounce it, was a hungry fighter, while you know Morgan was a blind martial artist. Like, oh, that's pretty badass. You know, when I think about.
Speaking of Morgan, how did you like his addition to Suikoden 5 of this story?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked a little bit of the throwbacks. When 5 hit and I was playing it, like you know, super happy. I was like, oh yeah, there's Milich, and then there's Morgan right there. Like
they tie him in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
They actually plucked his eyes out. For those of you that don't know, Morgan in Suikoden 1, it was actually from the Queendom of Falena, and he was such a good fighter, and they hated it. They actually removed his eyes, and he was still beating people all the time. Right. So they're like, you know what, we're going to sell you. They sold him to the Scarlet Moon Empire, and that's where you meet him in the temple there. Yeah, but they tie that all in later. They tied in later, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I believe there was somewhere where I was seeing or read like if I think they had like a little bit of a competition where it was like Han, Ieki, Morgan, and like Morgan was the best out of that set of fighters, you know, the martial arts fighters. And I was like, dang, that's pretty badass. Morgan is pretty badass.
That doesn't surprise me.
And he doesn't have eyes. Well, you know, Han was like, I'm hungry all the time, and Ieki, you know, I'm stronger than like, you know, 20 people or something like that. But you needed like a certain level to just recruit them. But anyways, going back to why we came to love Suikoden, yeah, like you mentioned, Luca, like the simultaneous battles, like in terms of like this, you know, the party of 6 against, you know, the other party. So like that for me introduced when I'm used to like, you know, characters taking their turn and then going back, taking their turn, going back. In this one, where you know, you pick your turns, and then once everybody goes, they, you know, some people take their turns and go back, but other people are like, other timing was like they kind of came at the same time. They attacked almost at the same time, but just attacking different people. I was like, what is that? Like I've never seen that before, where it's like it's almost seems like real time-ish. in a turn-based battle system, and that like solidified my love for this game.
Yeah, they've made a
And then
perfect combination of turn
yeah,
base
turn-based.
with
Yeah,
the real time. It was great.
yeah, it is. It is. And again, not used to just I'm so used to the one character going first and then the next character, but this one like they almost went at the same time, and then it almost feels again like I said, real time battles. Like that's pretty awesome, you know. And then you also have your relationships, of course, with each of the characters, but they also if you come to like dig in deeper within these characters, they also have things called unite attacks where they'll do some sort of cool combination together, and that's something that you weren't really seeing as well in other role-playing games too. When you think of like let me see, Cleo and who is it? Cleo. What was the first unite that you see? Cleo,
The first unite you see was actually Gremio and Pan.
Gremio and Pan. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Gremio and Pan was a cool one where Pan was just doing the boar attack, and then oh no, they went and attack at the same time basically, right? It
Yeah,
was
and then you also had Victor and Flick had a pretty nice,
yeah.
strong attack together.
Right, right. Oh, and the one I think I remember most because I used it a lot was Tier and Kai, the teacher. So
The master pupil
yeah,
AoE attack.
master
Yeah,
pupil is just all attacking all the enemies at the same time. And if you guys are both strong, then you guys are just taking out enemies left and right, which was pretty cool. But yeah, just talking about all the things and systems, just making me like, oh, cool. I still have the idea, and I mentioned it to you, Luca, that I'm planning to come back and do Suikoden 1 again because I did it like in 2014, and that was my first time kind of doing streaming on Twitch. But now that I guess I'm a little bit more seasoned, I want to redo the game again, and like just kind of be more up to date on what the knowledge of what I know about Suikoden, and then like just much more faster paced commentary if the game allows me to just keep the commentary going. But I do want to come back to it, and as well as do the other games as well because that's when I started doing content creating. That's what one of the things I wanted to do was showcase Suikoden the highs and lows, and that why people should know about this game series. Because a lot of the times when the Suikoden games were coming out, they were coming out almost at the same time or at the same time where big name role playing games were coming out. So it kind of they didn't get as much of the attention as much as we think they deserve. But there's still a cult following, and people are still like pushing. I guess you're trying to push it to not Capcom, Konami to make a new one, or just somebody make like an inspiration like a Suikoden game out there. So I'm one of those people that want like a brand new version, whether it is the Suikoden series or maybe a new spin-off or a new IP or whatever. Just be inspired by that whole game series. But yeah, well, like, what do you think about that?
Personally, I don't know if I'd want Konami to do it. I think I want a
Yeah,
different company to pick it up.
yeah, I agree with that. I only say Konami because they were the ones they were publishing it, and
Yeah, just how
Konami's
they
just
are,
like, geez,
where they
yeah,
are right now. I think I'd rather a different company pick it up. I
yeah, totally
definitely
agree.
want Suikoden 6, but for that to
Mhm.
happen, they need that writing staff back.
Yeah, they need that original team, and that original team is like just they're all split off, and
But they do get together for drinks and stuff, they said.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
who knows if
Yeah,
there enough
maybe
money's thrown at them.
that's that's how it's a funny story because that's how like I believe that's how let's see, Square Enix and Disney got together with Kingdom Hearts. Like they're almost like building buddies or like they're next door neighbors, and they took an elevator together, and then boom, like Kingdom Hearts just came about because of that like weird, weird situation. But anyways, yeah. So let me see. Like you were mentioning about how you missed out on the 108 characters in your first round. Like, what were other like first experiences were you having when you were started playing the game?
Well, other than, the frustration of not getting all the characters, I enjoyed every step of the way. I like every single character interaction. I love the fact that it doesn't have to be your main character interacting with
Yeah,
everyone. You see other
right.
characters interacting, you know. like one of my favorite scenes was recent, right? It was Humphrey and Mathayu. I did that on a gameplay recently. Those
Yeah.
two were
Okay.
speaking, and you
Yeah.
very rarely see Humphrey speak at all. But then he actually gets into the Kaleka incident with Mathayu, and it's
Mm,
just nice to see that from other characters interacting with each other. Necklord's story
yeah.
captivated me.
That was a big one. That's a huge one.
Necklord is huge. I mean, that guy is about as iconic as Luca Blight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because when at that point of the game where Victor was getting really riled up, it was throwing me off. Because before that, Victor was just like almost happy-go-lucky, but like he was more like chill and laid back about how things were happening. And then when I'm sorry, Necklord came about, then yeah, that's when he got really emotional, and it became a really huge thing when that arc was happening.
Yeah, seeing the different layers to Victor was
Mm,
really cool to see that in a non-primary character,
right.
because he kind of came in a little bit and he just, he was just kind of there as like the comedic relief, right? He
Yeah.
was a comedic character, Black Rune, Pink Balloon,
Yeah.
he's always making jokes, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now seeing this part of him, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the fact that they bring in so many different like races, right? You have the
Mhm.
elves and the dwarves, and you have the kobolds, and
Yeah.
having all of that there was really cool. It was better than just if it was just humans, it'd be pretty bland in my opinion.
Yeah. 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 And it became like when that was happening with the different races, it became like a whole prejudice, almost a racism like commentary in a sense too. I was like, whoa, I'm getting this out of a Japanese role playing game. And
Yeah,
I was expecting, when I first played the game, I was expecting high fantasy and just like magic and hearing and the standard RPG ness of games. But then you came across like politics in a sense, and then yeah, this topic about like all the different races, and yeah, it really threw me off on how like just uh maybe like rebellion some sorts is going against the mainstay empire that is there currently in that location. It was like it was throwing me off like wow, it's in a sense it's kind of like talking about like some pretty hefty stuff, but they kind of they balance all of that those portions of the story for one overall plot was about like Wendy and how she wants to get the ruins and especially get Ted's rune, the Soul Eater, true Soul Eater rune. Yeah, like I mean, what was your thoughts about like the whole rune system and how like the true runes and all that stuff? Like, what do you think about that stuff?
the runes were definitely my favorite adaptation of magic.
Right,
That was really interesting. The way normal Final Fantasy, the way they did it was you learn the spell and all of a sudden you just have this spell.
right,
Now you have something that actually physically attaches to you and imbues you with its power, which I
yeah,
thought was really cool. And then also knowing that these runes are essentially gods, like the true runes are essentially gods
yeah.
that control the world.
Mhm.
Now there's people trying to control those powers, and it's basically like nuclear warfare. These people are all trying to get a
Yeah,
hold of
that's
all the
true.
nukes.
Hmm.
Harmonia wants to hold all the nukes. Kind of
Yeah,
like like Russia back in the day, they wanted to hold everything, right? So they're
right.
you know that's another discussion for later with Harmonia. But yeah, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
just the fact that everyone's trying to bide for power, everyone's trying to get all these true runes for
Mhm.
that purpose is really cool. But also there's much better beings that are trying to use it for good. I
Mhm.
love it. I love the rune system. The politics, like you said, was great, especially as you progress through the series. More and more politics are added in. Like
Yeah, yeah.
especially five. Wow, five had
Oh
crazy
yeah,
politics.
five was yeah. Oh man, yeah. And that was the most recent. Not the most recent Suikoden I beat, but yeah. When delving into five, like yeah, there was like how Faleno is their politics system. It was weird. Like the guys couldn't be kings, but they could only be knights. It's only the females that can be uplifted towards like royalty. The gladiator and slavery system that they had there. Yeah, it was interesting, and whatever relationships or relations like your cousins and all that stuff was getting in the way of like certain families, and it was getting pretty hefty. Like I mean, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I would think that's what it would kind of relate to, which is not with the craziness of like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, a little less drama than Game of Thrones, but
Right, right.
for sure, in Suikoden they don't mess around. Like
Mm.
if they want your power, they're sending assassins after you right away. They're
Yeah.
trying to kill you. It it's if anyone is new to this game, they need to really pay attention to the story and just
Mhm.
soak it all in.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Oh man. Okay, so let me see. Like, okay, when we're talking about Suikoden one, those what were those unique characters that stuck out to you when you're going through the story? Um, yeah, go ahead first, and I'll go ahead after you.
Suikoden one, the characters that really captivated me, Victor did, especially after the Necklord incident.
Yeah,
Uh, Even the mention of George Prime, that was pretty cool. He wasn't actually a real character in it, but he was one of the quote unquote 6 generals that got turned to 5.
yeah,
That kind of got me hooked on him. Who is this guy? Valera, I mean, she's got a lot of layers to her. And then of course Lanknot. Lanknot, I
yeah,
mean, she's a
yeah.
mystery and a half, and
Mhm.
it's just craziness comes from her. Luke, I mean, I find him both funny and also very dangerous at the same time. He's got
Yeah,
really, really good
yeah.
character to himself.
Yeah. He's very much a double sided coin in that sense. Yeah, for me, I mean, like I take martial arts because that's why the martial arts people appeal to me a lot. Like like Han and Yeki, Morgan, Kai, anybody that has like some sort of martial arts combat isness. Like not even so much of just hand to hand, but like just like form and technique sort of thing. They really appeal to me. Out of the kobolds, Fusulu was the one that appealed to me the most because the kobolds I don't really use as much except for Fusulu. Because I guess he touted like hey, I'm super strong, and he was using like dual wield axes, for his standard attack. So I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Stallion, in a sense, where you just be like, was it the true? What was it? What was his rune again?
The
True
true holy rune.
holy rune, like where you just run super fast. I mean, you could equip it on other people. In this game, you can only equip one rune, but in the other games, you were able to equip three. But I would always use Stallion because he had the true holy, and so you could just able to like run faster than usual in other games or in this game as well. But yeah, I didn't want to waste a rune space for holy when I could just use Stallion. Let me see who else. Yes, Stallion was one. The martial artists were another. Let me see. The ninjas a little bit. Kage and Fuma. Kage, just being like a mercenary, for pay. Just doing missions. For the highest bidder in a sense. When you get first introduced to them, like yeah, you're delivering a message, but once you hear about Kage again, he's doing work for the Empire, and you're like, what the heck is going on? But then you get to hire him later on down the line. And then Fuma just being there, I guess like being a solo ninja because he gets introduced into Kage's like ninja clan in a sense. When you hear about the endings or read about the endings, with all the characters. But like who else? Oh, Kasumi, of course. That little love interest of Tyr and Kasumi was pretty interesting as well. Let me see anybody else. Uh, yeah. So like the swordsman people were like pretty standard. Oh, Clive. Clive was pretty interesting with the Howling Guild. Uh,
Clive's amazing. Man,
him being
his
like
story, wow.
yeah, yeah. If you're able to do like some speed running in the second Suikoden, because you have to hit timed points in
Yeah.
order to progress his story, right? Yeah. So yeah, Clive is definitely an interesting character. Not only in like appearance, where he's just in a cloak and he's using like would it be like a rifle back in those days?
It'd be
Um,
like a musket, but yeah,
yeah, like a musket.
pretty
Yeah.
close.
So yeah, him only kind of like being that character with the quote unquote gun, in those days was pretty interesting. The five generals were interesting in themselves, just in a sense where like it's these five generals were protecting all the borders and doing all the empire's work, and then how different they all were from each other. Like Milich was just like a fashionista, type, looking flashy type swordsman. Kasim, like looking, like Arabian Nights sort of thing. And then who else? Yeah, I mean those other characters. Tio, of course. I would love to see if there was any sort of like prequel to Suikoden one that we can see something about Tio, because I mean you only hear it from like word of mouth, but I would love to see what Tio did back in those days.
In the War of Succession.
Yeah, War of Succession, or if there's anything else before that, I would love to see something like that. But yeah, let me see. Oh, and then well, who's the final blacksmith? Who's the final blacksmith? Mace? No,
Mace. No.
Mace.
Yeah, it is Mace. Yeah, it's Mace.
Mace, right? Yeah, Mace. Mace being like in, or is it? Uh, Sorry, I try to when I try to remember things, like I'm
He was
literally
in Seek Valley when you found him.
Seek Valley. Yeah, it being like isolationist and just wanting to be left alone, but he's able to power up your weapon like to the maximum level, and that was pretty cool as well. But
Without a golden hammer. Without the
without a
golden
golden
hammer.
hammer, right? Right. Let's see. Who is your go-to party when it comes to Suikoden one? Who is your go-to party?
Well, of course, McDowell has to be there.
Of course.
I brought Flick and Victor mostly because you have to use them throughout most of the
Mhm.
game. So I brought them, not to mention Flick has very powerful magic as well as good physical base. Victor is one of the hardest hitters in the game.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a weird one where I bring Tengar.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. Tengar, actually, believe it or not, has very, very good magic skills, along with some decent defense. A lot of mages have really bad defense, where she was taught by the Warriors Village, right? So she can fight.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same point, her magic's actually really, really good. My go-to runes with her are the Rage rune and the Mother Earth rune. And then also I bring Clive, and then it's either Valera or Pesmerga or Humphrey. Usually Valera, because she's stacked. She's just, her Falcon rune's insane.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see. Who do I pick? Yeah, no, those are good. Those are great choices. For me, I would pick, of course, Tyr, because Tyr is like mandatory. If I'm going for the storyline, I would go Grimio. But even though Grimio is just like basic, once the later levels come down the line, let me see. Cleo, I do like using on a magic sense. Let me see who else. I would often bring let me see. It's either I would bring Ronnie and Pan together for that unite, or I would bring, let me see. Or Tyr and Kai, just to get rid of all the lesser enemies, and then let me see. Yeah, Victor's of course a good one. Um, hmm. Fusulu. Fusulu was a strong hit person that I would bring, of course. Um, anybody else? Is anybody else?
Man, you live dangerously. No healers, all high
No,
offense. That's pretty interesting.
because I would just stack up on the mega medicines. That's all I would do.
Fair enough.
Yeah, or at least if whoever was my magic, quote unquote magic user, I would put them with the flowing or the water rune, and then I would be good to go. Like not so much of like focusing on the higher magic people, but like someone that has decent magic, and then we can just carry everybody. Oh, because I would put everybody in a bag of like you have a bunch of mega medicines, a sacrificial Buddha, and maybe like an antitoxin or whatever. But like a lot just overflow with mega medicines and sacrificial Buddhas for me, and like a dragon incense, just because like heal every turn sort of thing. That's how I would do it, but not so much of like a heavy magic user that does damage. I was more on the more physical side. But who knows? Maybe in this playthrough, I'm going to try to go a little differently and try to go like more magic based in that sense as well.
Suikoden 1, the magic was pretty straightforward. It's not till like Suikoden 2 and more where you can combine the magics where they become absolutely insane. So in Suikoden 1, I'd actually say physical is probably the way to go. You can do a lot of damage that way. I've just always been a magic fan.
No, that's no, because there's a focus on the magic, of course, and it was interesting how the magic was used too, because it wasn't MP. It was just like how many types, how many turns,
how many charges you have,
charges you have. So like that's pretty cool. So like as soon as like you want to like you're playing the game, you want to be as optimized leveled as possible, so you can get as like the maximum amount of charges on each of your levels of the spells. I know that was the aim for me when I was playing the game. Let me see. What was the max amount of charges of like the level 4 spells that you were getting.
I believe 3 was the most you could have for the
Three?
maximum.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
In the first one. In number 5, you could have like 6. It was crazy.
Jeez. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Let me see. Let me see. All right. So you were talking. We were talking a little bit about theories, and you had a very interesting one about about Leknak. Leknak.
Yeah.
Like, let us know what you were thinking about that one.
Okay, so this is gonna seem pretty wacky to people out there that have played the series, but just bear with me here. I have 2. The first one you can probably get behind is that Legnat is guiding the true rune users to master their runes to get revenge on Harmonia and Hikusak for burning down her village and forcing her and Windy to split the gate rune. So she's like slowly gathering all these people to fight against Harmonia. That's my first theory, and that one a lot of people can get behind because it seems more likely. If she helped Tur get the rune and master that, fight against Windy. She helped against Harmonia, who's basically sorry, not against Harmonia, against helped Rio against Highland, which is basically a puppet of Harmonia, if we're being honest here.
Yeah.
So she helped out all these people master their runes, so she could be gathering all these people to support her to get her own revenge, so to speak, or justice against Hikusak, who seems to be evil. But that's the first theory. Now the second one, this one's a little wacky, okay, but I'll get it. She is actually, in my opinion, working for Hikusak. Okay. And she isn't who she claims to be, kind of like a double agent, traitor to her own clan, sets up her own village, and then uses this to get the gate rune for herself, but it didn't go quite her way because her sister took the other half. She's known. The reason why I'm saying this is because she's known as the executor of balance. Now, the reason why that is such a big deal is Hikusak's rune is the circle rune, also known as the rune of balance.
Right.
And he wants to bring balance to the world. Now,
almost Thanos-like in a sense.
yeah, very, very Thanos-like. Legnat is against others having multiple true runes. She's against runes disappearing. Like in Suikoden 4, she is really against the shipmaster taking the Soul Eater away, right? She really didn't want that to happen. She wanted the rune there. And so would Hikusak, right? Hikusak would want that too. Now, she also helped the rebels beat the Scarlet Moon Empire. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the Scarlet Moon Empire is probably the main enemy of Harmonia because, like way back in the day, the Crusaders of the Warrior Village stood up to Harmonia and actually liberated that area from Harmonia to create the Scarlet Moon Empire in the first place.
Right.
So if she's helping the Scarlet Moon Empire crumble, if she's really against Hikusak like we think, then why would she purposely go against the one enemy that has been able to stand against it for so long?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And that brings up a great point. Yeah, for sure.
She's very active in the Gate Rune War. Okay, in every other Suikoden game, she's just more of a guide, right? She's not really doing a lot, but she's very active in the Gate Rune War and actually even helps you fight.
Right.
When he summons those monsters, she actually kills them. She helps you fight against them. So she's very, into making Scarlet Moon lose, where she really wasn't into making making anyone else lose, like Highland. Now, she also took Luke as a pupil. Now, a lot of people say, what does that matter? Well, Luke is actually Hikusak's clone.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She took him as a pupil and raised him to be this great, magic user, and he is the clone of Hikusak. Now, she doesn't want Luke to blow up his wind rune in Suikoden 3. She actually tries, to talk him out of it, but she knew he was going to fail anyway, so she let him go and whatever, and he died, and his spirit
let him do his thing.
Yeah. But so there is some validity to this theory, like. Legnat could be a double agent that could, turn around and be like, hey, guess what? I've been working with Hikusak for thousands of years or whatever.
Right. That's interesting. That is interesting. Huh. But, and I wish we can find that out. But yeah, we're all in limbo still. but maybe somebody out there will. I know there was some like fan games that are out there, but like have you played those fan games?
No, the Suikoden 2.5 and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I never really got into them because like they just I like the actual
The canon.
canon storyline. I think if I got into the fan stuff too much, it would just kind of it would do to Suikoden what Dragon Ball has done. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
have all the crap has flooded into Dragon Ball with all these lies and misconceptions about the series. I
Right.
want to stay away from that with
Make
Suikoden.
it as pure as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I understand. Let me see. So like, where you were asking me at one point, how I thought Suikoden when it was going to finish. I mean, we were all going towards Harmonia, and and that's I think it was going to be pretty standard as far as I'm concerned. But like, yeah, maybe I was thinking maybe all these lands they had like a thing with Harmonia. We're gonna go against Harmonia, like from the grasslands to Scarlet Moon to the Dunnan, like the city states. Like I think they were all gonna like maybe have their 108s in a sense, but like if we had a bunch of 108s, then that'd be like a pretty crazy ass roster. But
Well,
yeah,
you've got a point to that because the thing is, a lot of these characters are dead, so at least it wouldn't
that's
be
true.
like every single character,
Yeah,
and some
that's true.
characters are reused. So
Yeah, yeah. So like I think mine was just pretty more straightforward of like all the 108s that were being gathered all around Harmonia were gonna go up against Harmonia. I mean that's what I thought. I mean, was there any sort of other conclusion that you were thinking of?
a little bit. It was
I've gone
more
to?
towards what you're saying that other people were going to go up against Harmonia, but I think there will be people to side with Harmonia because they believe
Mm,
Harmonia would win. I think it would end up being a true rune war, basically like a
yeah,
nuclear war,
yeah,
and it would, the Wind Rune does show Luke a little bit of what's going on, and he shows you a little bit too. It
that's
shows
true.
you kind of like almost like a nuclear winter. Everything looks really destroyed, and there's no life. So
Mhm.
maybe what the Wind Rune is showing is what will eventually happen with everyone fighting over the runes. Is eventually you have this true rune war, and
Yeah.
you'd have Hikusak's Harmonian army and his allies against the rest of the world. But I do believe there's more to Hikusak than we're led to believe. I think he might
Mhm.
not be as straightforward and evil as people say, because
Okay.
if he was this terrible of a person, then why is there so many other, little countries still around? Like
Right. Right.
why would he just run them over? Why would he agree to a peace treaty with the grasslands when he could easily have crushed them? I mean,
Right. We wiped them out. Right.
he backed off a little bit, and then eventually, of course, the story of three when they come in, they were like running through everyone like a train, like it was
Yeah.
easy until
Yeah. For
Harmonia
sure.
backed off. If he's as
Mhm.
evil as they say, why wouldn't he just finish everyone off?
Yeah. I mean, unless he's actually looking for a true balance rather than just ruling the entire land,
Which
right?
makes me, go back to his rune, the circle rune, the rune of
Mm.
balance. So it makes me think he's actually looking for balance. And the whole clone thing was so that he could find suitable hosts for runes to master. So that's why he has Sasarai,
Okay.
who is a clone who mastered the earth rune, and he also has
Right.
Luca, the wind rune.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I believe he's not quite as evil as people say. I don't think, he's a straight up Luca Blight where he's trying to murder everybody. I
Mhm.
think that, he's got something to him, kind of like Thanos, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's evil, like in terms of the acts, but you don't know, like he with Thanos, it's like it's a necessary evil that it's like fine, I'll take that role if I need to be. So like I know as you're saying, that's what it sounds like he's gonna take that Hikusaki is gonna take that role because it's somewhat needed, just so we can try to get that balance of what he wants is basically balance and not even just overrunning the entire lands, but just you guys do your thing there, you guys do your thing there. We're gonna be here, and then everybody like just chill out, sort of thing. Yeah, that's
I also see him a little bit evil in some senses. I mean, when you play Suikoden 3, you find out that there's people that are third class citizens, people that were conquered.
yeah,
So at the same
yeah,
point, you're like, he is kind of a slave driver. But at the same
yeah,
point, like, he's a complex character. So I think there's
Yes.
more to him. I do think that he's a villain. I just don't think it's as straightforward as we want to make it out to be.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
think, like you said, he's very Thanos-like, where he's going to do some evil acts, but there is some good behind it.
Yeah. Or being like, you live long enough to, as a hero that you eventually become the villain sort of thing.
That's right.
That's in a sense. Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I would, anybody that can pick up, the writers or this game series, please, we would love to see some sort of conclusion to this. Because
That's my whole thought behind this is if we can get
yeah,
enough people, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook talking about this, trying to bring it back, I think they'll,
right.
they'll gather an interest back and bring it back.
Yeah.
We just need to show that there is people willing to buy this series and pay attention to it still.
And there are people that are out there buying it multiple times, and they want anything that has the name Suikoden on it. Like,
That's right.
I bought the DS version, even though I knew it wasn't related to the the whole Suikoden canon story, but it's just the idea of those gathering all those characters, and then if it's be completing that story arc in the one game, or I would love to play the PSP one that came out that had kind of had the same idea of like the whole realm system that they were having. I would love to play that too, and it was available. Unfortunately, going by it by not so great means of like using emulators with a translation, but now you would have to like play the Japanese version and then find like a translated guide of some sort just to be able to play that game. Like, have you touched that game at all?
No, for the same reasons that you haven't. It's back in the day. You could get these versions put out there, and people
Mm.
could just pick it up. Like for an example, Dragon Ball Z: Legend of the Super Saiyan back in the day was a Super Nintendo RPG that was only released in Japan. And honestly,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
anyone wants to play a really fun Dragon Ball RPG, pick that one up. It's like the
Yeah.
original Dokkan Battle. This game was great, but it was only in Japanese, so we had to get these guys that somewhat knew Japanese to translate it and bring it over. And it wasn't that
Yeah.
big of a deal. But now when you do that, you're getting pirated, you're getting, like everything's getting flagged right away. So it's
Mhm.
it's a little bit more difficult to get those translated games. So yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of stayed away from it. If they came out with a translated version, I'd be all over
Mhm.
it. All
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
Just like as boring as it was, I played the mobile version where you walk around with Nash and you talk to everyone.
Oh, huh,
Like
okay.
it's not even a real game, but I still did it because it's Suikoden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a continuation of that story, and
I
now
have all the hard copies of Suikoden, but you know what I did?
nice.
I bought them on the PlayStation Network because I'm that much
Oh,
of a
okay.
Suikoden nut that I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want them everywhere. And
yeah.
I hope that, as much as I don't want Konami to do it, but if they were to do it, I hope they see that the fans are still loyal. And actually, I see them much more active now than they ever were.
Lately, they've been much more active in that sense because I think recently they tweeted out that it's a celebration of the 20th anniversary, right, or 25th.
Yes. 20th anniversary, yes.
Yeah, 20th anniversary. So like everybody's like, oh, maybe something, but
Hey, they
it,
redid the website.
yeah, they did. It was like a portal or something, right?
Yeah, they redid the website, so that
Yeah,
was kind of cool.
yeah. So maybe if Konami's trying to rebrand or not rebrand, but like just turn their brand around, where how it was bad, in one, it was how they're having like they're not being so great at the moment, let me see, and then try to turn that around with maybe bringing this game back, or doing games that are Konami classics that are out there, and just do it like that, like as what Capcom is doing with a lot of their games being much like a lot of like more classics, like Devil May Cry 5 and all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. Just somebody that is a fan of Suikoden, guys. The people that are playing Suikoden and showing content, you guys got to do your thing as well. I'm gonna do my thing. Luca Blight is gonna do his thing. I mean, like, what's your plans with Suikoden? Just going through all the games, or are you gonna try to do like specialized, like retrospectives, or like, oh, on this character, or this idea, or like about the war? Like, what do you think? What is your ideas when it comes to spreading more Suikoden out there?
I'm definitely going to do all the playthroughs. Yeah, as you saw, I am doing this weekend in one playthrough at the moment. I'm gonna do that, but I'm also gonna do other in-game stuff, like where I show people which characters go from each game and how their stats transfer over, what's the most
Right.
optimal gear, that kind of stuff. I'll definitely do that. But I'll also want to do videos on characters themselves. Like, of course, like not like that's one of
Yeah.
the most interesting characters. Jean is an enigma wrapped in a mystery.
Gene
Like,
is Gene is waifu. Yeah.
I don't know. Koruku, apparently Koruku can see her for what she really is, whatever that
Yeah,
means.
that's true. That's right. Yeah, the dog, right?
Yeah, so whatever that means. But there's just all these characters that are extremely interesting. So I'd love to do videos on them. Who knows if people really like this stuff, we can do it again, and we can
Yeah.
just go through more characters and more Suikoden news and
Yeah,
really
for
get the stuff
sure.
out there.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys are interested in like just Suikoden just discussion, and maybe we'll go through each of the games. Maybe we'll do like specialized topics on like on part one versus part two, or just whatever you think of like of anything Suikoden. Let us know. Let us know in the comment section. Down below. Let us know in the comment section, of course, on this video. Let us know on Twitter. Just let us know. Hashtag us or add us on Twitter and stuff like that. Let us know that you want a semi-active or as active Suikoden podcast, and hopefully there's people enough that wants to have that happen, that we can get together like this again, and then eventually, if there's people that want to listen to just Suikoden anything, we can put it on audio version as well, and then we'll go through that as well. But yeah, Luca Blight, let me thank you for hanging out with me and just talking shop about our most favorite RPG game out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, no problem. Where can people find you? Just chill everything that you're doing, channel, Twitter, all that stuff.
Well, I'm on YouTube. Yeah, it's just straight up Luca Blight. It's you might have to put in like Luca Blight Dokkan Battle or something, because I'm not really that the most famous Luca out there right now. But
Okay.
when you look that up, you're gonna find a lot of Luca Blight battles. But you'll find me on Twitter, at Luca Blight. There's 2 underscores. You can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty active all over there. So if you like memes, you like Suikoden content, you like Brave Exvius, and you like Dokkan Battle, you like any of that stuff, come over here. We'll have some fun.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, there you go. Head over there, subscribe to him, follow him on Twitter and all that stuff. We have fun conversations and just retweeting each other and all that stuff on Twitter. So yeah, you should definitely come and follow both of us. Speaking of which, you find me here at Nerd in the Bay. We do a variety of content, whether it's video games and mobile games. Let me see what else. We do like comic book talk. We do talk discussions on anime. We do specialized podcasts like this. I have a podcast called Open Bar for Content Creators podcast, where I talk to different content creators like Luca Blight himself, and to just talk about the process and like the struggles and the experiences that we go through. So maybe I can have Luca Blight come back, and then we can just talk about the content creation side, since we were kind of discussing that in this podcast as well, to talk about that and see what we can do to not only improve, but like just keep the momentum going of just growing and trying to get our name out there, whatever we were trying to do with YouTube and content creating. But we have a podcast about that. You can follow me on Twitter at Marco Polo 177, which is my personal Twitter page, and then I have at Nerd in the Bay official channel page as well. Same thing with Facebook, Nerd in the Bay, Nerd in the Bay, Instagram as well, and I think that's about it. I think that's it. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out and just listening and listen to us gab about our most favorite RPG of all time. Appreciate you guys trying to chime in there on the chat room. Chauncey and Mr. All Might. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out and just chiming in a little bit. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next time for our next one. Hopefully, and but just let us know. Let us know if you guys want to see more of this. Yeah, just let us know on Twitter and on the comments, and then we'll see you guys next time. All right, peace, guys.
See you later.